Now we're back in the year 2021. The Seattle Kraken are making their debut in the NHL, and they're about to begin their first season. However, as we know, the first season doesn't really go according to plan for the Seattle Kraken, and they definitely struggle in year number 1. In year number 2, they're going to make the postseason, and they're going to go on a bit of a run. However, in year number 3, it's going to be a disaster for the franchise, and they're going to be missing the playoffs yet again. Well, today, I'm going to be changing things. We know exactly how the future turns out, so I'm going to make trades according to how the future is going to be, and we're going to rebuild this team accordingly. I'm going to rebuild this team in NHL 22, 23, and 24, and the roster I construct every single year is going to carry over to the next game. So what I'm going to do is construct my team in NHL 22, and then the roster I finish the season with is going to carry over into the next game. So we're going to make a bunch of trades here according to how good players are going to be over the next couple games. So if we go and look at goaltenders for the Boston Bruins, Jeremy Swayman, he doesn't really have that much trade value. He's an 84 overall, a decent enough goaltender, but we're going to trade for him today, and by the time we get to NHL 24, he's going to be a 90 overall, and he's going to be the starting goaltender for the Seattle Kraken. And the one really nice thing about the Seattle Kraken right now, a ton of cap space. They have $17 million to work with. Jared McCann, of course, we got to keep you around. Vince Dunn, we got to keep you around as well. You're going to turn into a great player. Hayden Fleury, on the other hand, we can afford to trade you away. So our first trade is going to be looking at something like this: Hayden Fleury and Grubauer over to the Boston Bruins. We're going to get Jeremy Swayman and Brandon Carlo. Carlo turns into a great defenseman in the future, so this is going to be a big time trade for us. And when it comes to trading draft picks, here's the rule: I can only trade 1 year's worth of draft picks, because if I start trading a couple years down the line, that's going to get very messy once we move into the next game. So for NHL 22, I can trade 2022 picks. NHL 23, I can trade 2023 picks, so on and so forth. So this is the first trade that we're going to offer over to the Boston Bruins. Hopefully they accept this right off the bat. They're going to be saying no, but the one good thing is Seattle has some prospects we can work with, because I don't necessarily want to be trading all of our picks away in just one package here. But you know what? We got Jeremy Swayman, we got Carlo, two great pieces for the team here. They're going to help us win a Stanley Cup in the future. So while I try to figure out what other trades we're going to be doing here, I'm still trying to hit 65,000 subs by the end of the month, but I'm not going to be able to do that if 69% of the people watching this video right now aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you're a part of that percentage that hasn't subscribed, you should do that right now. So the next trade we're looking at doing is going to be Lind and Yanni Gourde over to the LA Kings. Mikey Anderson and Kempe are going to be two great players for us if we can get them in this package right here, and I think we might be able to. So I'm going to send that over. They're saying no. Now a couple picks are definitely going to get this done, but I think we might trade a second just to make it simple. But if I'm giving up a second round pick, you got to give me some picks back. Maybe a third, fourth, and fifth rounder. Hopefully that's going to be enough. They're saying no. I'll take the fifth rounder out. You got to give me at least a third and a fourth though. We just got Adrian Kempe. We just got Mikey Anderson and some picks. We freed up a bit more cap space. This team's going to be looking elite in the next 2 years. So at no point did I ever say this was going to be a realistic video. So Seattle's first round pick over to the St. Louis Blues. Robert Thomas, a second and third rounder. Welcome to the Seattle Kraken. This is an absolute no-brainer for us. You got to give me at least a second round pick. Hey, if we can't get a second round pick and we just get Robert Thomas, that's not going to be the end of the world. But I do want to get some draft compensation. So the third and fourth rounder, is that going to be enough? They're going to say no to that. How about just a third round pick? If we just do a first round pick for Robert Thomas, I'm not necessarily against this. But you know what? I was hoping to get some more assets, but we got Robert Thomas on the team. We know how that man's going to develop. Big time moves are being made. Now, considering Nick Paul eventually turns into like an 83, 84 overall player, if I just have to give up a third round pick in order to get him, I'm definitely going to do that. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be saying no here, but I think a seventh rounder could be the difference. So I'm going to add that into the deal. They're still saying no here. Maybe a sixth round pick instead of a seventh. The one thing I do like about NHL 22 way more than NHL 24, seventh round picks are nowhere near as valuable. For some reason in the current game, a seventh round pick has almost as much trade value as a third round pick. That's not the case in NHL 22. Now, the one thing that we do have to remember with making all these trades is I gotta make sure that we're still under the salary cap. So Kempe, I'm gonna give you a deal here. What are we looking at? We're gonna do $5.3 million for the next 2 years. So that'll keep you on the team for the rest of the rebuild here. Mikey Anderson, what are you looking for? $1.8 million? Yeah, we can make that work. And then Nick Paul, I'm hoping to get a cheap deal done with you as well. It looks like we're gonna be able to do that. 2.2 for the next 3. Now, one guy that we're not gonna trade for in NHL 22 here is Sean Monahan, but I can guarantee you this man's coming to the team in NHL 23. He's gonna be a big time addition to the Seattle Kraken in the future. Now, I think this is going to be the last trade we try to complete here. It's going to be a fourth rounder, a fifth rounder, James Schwartz, Susie, and a prospect over to the Calgary Flames. We bring in Tyler Toffoli on a great contract, Rasmus Anderson, he's on a pretty solid contract himself, and then Gabranson, we're just going to ride out his contract for this season. He's not going to return to the team, but if we can secure both these guys right here, we're going to be in a great spot. So I'm going to offer this package over. They're saying no. I'm not overly surprised. surprised, but I'm not too sure how we're going to get this deal done. So I've changed the package up a little bit, and honestly, I think it's going to work out for us in the long run here. What if I take out Tyler Toffoli and add Blake Coleman instead? Now, Blake Coleman's not going to be great for NHL 22. I mean, he's only like an 82 overall here. NHL 23, he's going to be a bit better, but in NHL 24, he develops into like an 85 overall player, and he's going to be on a great contract. So we're picking up Rasmus Anderson and Blake Coleman here. This is a pretty smart deal for us. We're going to be in a great spot. Well, maybe not for this season, but in the future, this team's going to be looking good. So I'll be the first guy to say we're not winning a Stanley Cup. Like, look at this top 6 right here. The best player is 87 overall Robert Thomas, should be a 91, but we're not going to talk about that. The bottom 6 is a little weak here, but you know what? A lot of these guys are going to keep getting better. Blake Coleman's going to get better, Jared McCann's getting better, Robert Thomas is getting better, Kempe's going to get better, Nick Paul's going to get better. Like, this team's just really good. Defensively, a lot of these guys are getting better, if not all of them. We're going to be in a great spot defensively over the next 2 years. And when it comes to goaltending, we have Jeremy Swayman. I can rely on him, no question about that. Another goaltender I could trade for was Linus Ullmark, but you know what, Jeremy Swayman, you're going to be on a great contract. We're going to lock you down long term, and we're going to win a couple Stanley Cups with you. So we're going to simulate up to the trade deadline here, and more likely we're going to be a really bad team, so we're probably going to be sellers, and we're going to ditch a couple of the bad contracts. Kempe's re-signing, Mikey Anderson's re-signing, Nick Paul's re-signing. This team's got the important pieces locked down. Yeah, so it's absolutely no shocker that the Seattle Kraken absolutely suck this season. 26th in the entire league with a 23-31-9 record. I think we all saw this coming. Like, we're just not a very well-built team. But you know what? We're not focused on this season. We're focused about next season and the year after. That's when we're going to be looking like an absolutely elite team. Robert Thomas, he has 56 points so far, but I'm not too concerned. He's going to be better next year. Jordan Eberle, 54. I mean, we've got some decent scoring depth, but a lot of these guys are low overalls. Like 82 Blake Coleman, he's one of the better players on our team. That's saying a lot. When it comes to goaltending, Jeremy Swayman, can't really expect too much for you. We're not producing offensively, but we're also not producing defensively for you. When you really think about it, we're doing nothing in front of Jeremy Swayman. So I was just looking through every single team, trying to figure out what's out there for us. And one guy I found, Max Domi. Now, he's only an 82 overall, but he could play some big bottom 6 minutes for us in the future. So we're going to give up Cale Fleury, and that's going to be it. Max Domi, welcome to the team. You're going to be a good piece for us as long as we can re-sign you. So we already made a deal with the St. Louis Blues, but I just remembered about one player that we had for a very short time, and I want to make sure he plays for this team in the future. Dakota Joshua. Now, granted, right now he's only a 75 overall player, but in the future he's going to be above an 80, and that's going to be good enough to play on our bottom 6. So here's a 7th round pick, and we're getting an absolute steal here. Now, I thought we had just completed our final trade, but times have changed. Jamie Alexiak, Riker Evans, you're going to be sent over to the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're bringing in Michael Matheson. By the time we get to NHL 24, he's an 87 overall, and he's going to be a great player for when we compete for a Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, they are saying no here, and we really don't have that many more assets to give up. So could I potentially interest you in this prospect right here, and then hopefully that's enough to get this deal done? Michael Matheson, welcome to the team. Now, before we simulate to the end of the season, I gotta make sure we give extensions to the important pieces. Max Domi, here's $2.9 million for the next 2 years. Born Geeky, I also want to give you an extension here. Yeah, we can do $975K for the next 2, no question about it. And I think those are gonna be the main pieces that we're gonna bring back to the team here. When it comes to a lot of these guys down here, if we don't bring them back for next season, I have no issue with that. So after the trade deadline, the Seattle Kraken did look a bit better, but we certainly weren't a good team here. 24th in the entire league with a 35, 37, and 10 record, but things are going to change next season. Once all these guys improve, I can guarantee you we're going to be a top 5 team. Well, maybe not top 5, more like top 10, but you get the point. We're going to be pretty good, especially with this legend right here going to be leading the way. Robert Thomas, 27 goals, 55 helpers, 82 points, one absolute stud. Jordan Eberle's looking pretty good. Alex Wenberg, he had a great season as well. Jared McCann, Kempe, Blake Coleman, all these guys are going to get better. And when it comes to goaltending, Jeremy Swayman, we all know about Jeremy Swayman. We've seen him a handful of times. Now, since we're not making the postseason, we might as well find out who's going to be winning. It looks like it's going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning taking down the Vancouver Canucks in a 5-game series. So now that this season's complete and we've re-signed all the players that we want, it's time to move on to NHL 23. So we moved on to NHL 23, and the first thing I should mention here is over the off season, the Seattle Kraken of course made moves between NHL 22 and NHL 23, and one of those moves involved bringing Andre Burakovsky to the team. So all those moves that they did are still going to apply to the team. So we have Burakovsky, McCann, and Robert Thomas on the first line, Tovan and Max Domi and Kempe on the second. The bottom 6 is looking really good here. We're going to see Nick Paul, we're going to see Matty Beniers, but when it comes to that defense, look how spectacular that is. 86 overall Vince Dunn, 87 overall Rasmus Rasmus Anderson. Then we have an 85, 84, 83, 84. The defense is looking great, and when you have a goaltender like Jeremy Swayman, you already know you're going to be in a great spot. But although this team's in a great spot right now, we can make some more moves to make us even better. So in NHL 23, we're going to make a massive splash immediately here. Justin Schultz, Chris Drager, Ryan Donato, and a second round pick over to the Dallas Stars. We're picking up Wyatt Johnson. We're picking up Thomas Hartley. So that's going to be two great pieces here. We're also picking up Foxa here, but we're going to be trading him away because I don't think he's going to play for this team next year. But we got to acquire him in order to make the contracts work. I'm going to send this package over, and we're going to be getting this deal done fairly easily. So I already told you we're going to be trading away Foxa, and it's going to be him, a 3rd and 7th round pick over to the Philadelphia Flyers, and we're bringing Owen Tippett onto the team. Now, Owen Tippett might not be a superstar this season, but next season, once he progresses a bit more, he's going to be a great piece for us. Now, I want to clear up a bit of cap space here, so Jonas Donskoy and a 4th round pick is going to be sent over to the Blackhawks, and we're going to be picking up Taylor Radish. He's going to be a good bottom 6 player for us, and he's also on a cheap enough contract where it actually makes sense for us to bring him to the team. Unfortunately, they're going to be saying no to that deal, but if I include a 6th rounder, is it going to be enough? There we go, we got the deal done. So I actually want to make another deal with the Dallas Stars here. It's going to involve Shane Wright and John Hayden sent over. We're bringing Joe Pavelski and 2 second rounders to the team. Joe Pavelski's already under contract for next season at $3.5 million, so that's going to be a very easy contract to work with. Okay, we can get more than 2 second round picks here. Yeah, let's capitalize on that. So if we can get 2 second round picks and a 3rd round pick, that would be massive. Can we get 2 seconds and a 3rd? So what if we get Joe Pavelski a 1st and 2nd round pick? Is that going to be possible in a deal like this? They're still willing to say yes to that one. What if I do a 1st, 2 seconds, and Joe Pavelski? Are you willing to say yes to that deal? They're saying no, but we would be pretty close. What if I give you a 5th round pick as well? Would that be enough to make the difference? They're saying no. I think we might be able to get all those picks right there. So let's not get greedy here and try to make this as simple as possible. Joe Pavelski, a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round pick for Shane Wright, John Hayden, and a 5th round pick. We're going to get this deal done. That's a massive move for us. That Joe Pavelski contract is going to be very easy to handle, but we're not done with the moves yet. Now, the one thing we have to remember is although we're making a lot of great trades here, we got to have money to re-sign players. And Jordan Eberle, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to afford your contract, so I'm going to send you over to the Anaheim Ducks to free up some cap space. And then the next trade I'm hoping at making here is going to be Bjorkstrand and a 3rd round pick over to the Arizona Coyotes, and we can bring in Matthias Michelli. He'll be a good bottom 6 piece for us. They're going to say no to this deal. Maybe they'll accept Anaheim's 3rd round pick. Hopefully that's going to be enough here. They're going to say no to that one. I don't want to give up a 2nd round pick, but you know what? If we have to, I will. But if I'm giving you a 2nd round pick, you're giving me some assets back. Hopefully a 3rd and 4th rounder. I don't think we're getting both of those picks, but you know what? If I can get at least a 3rd rounder, I'm going to be happy. And there we go. The deal's complete. So we got to make one more big time splash here, and it's going to involve the 2 1st round picks that we have here and 2 AHL players over to the Carolina Hurricanes, Marty Necas and Seth Jarvis. Welcome to the team. I honestly thought this deal was going to be enough, but you know what? We have some other assets we can work with here. Do you want a 3rd round pick? Because we have a 3rd round pick. Hopefully this is going to be enough to get the deal done. Am I surprised? Not really, because we're not even giving them what they want. Now, of course, I did have a backup plan in the event that we couldn't get Marty Necas with this deal. It's going to be 2 1st rounders, Brandon Tanev and Daniel Sprong over to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Kent Johnson and Boquist are both going to be joining the team here. Now we're going to flip both of these players. Now it looks like the best case scenario is happening here as the Carolina Hurricanes are interested in both of these players right here. Ideally, we can just package up these 2 players, send it over, and get the 2 players we want. They're going to be saying no here, but luckily we still have some draft picks left here. So here's 3 3rd round picks, and I think that should be enough to complete this trade. There we go. Marty Necas, Seth Jarvis, welcome to the team. Now Seattle, you have a very good shot at winning a Stanley Cup. Now that's barring that we still have money to give out extensions here. Vince Dunn, what are you looking for? Okay, this is going to be very easy. So Vince Dunn here is $4.9 million for the next 4 years. I thought you were going to want way more than that. Matthias Michelli, what are you looking for? We can do 2.9 for the next 3. That's a pretty solid deal for you as well. And then the last guy we got locked down here is going to be Jeremy Swayman. He's probably going to be wanting a bag. This is way better than I thought. Here's $3.9 million for the next 3 years. We have the 3 most important pieces locked down. You know what, Joey Decord, we'll give you a deal as well. You're going to be our backup goaltender. Here's $1 million for the next 2. And now we've given out all the re-signs we have to, so let's take a look at the team before we get into this season. So here we go. It's time for the Seattle Kraken to win a Stanley Cup. Marty Necas, Burakovsky, Joe Pavelski on the top line. Then it's going to be Robert Thomas, Jared McKinnon, Kempe on the second. The bottom 6 is looking absolutely incredible here. And if you thought the bottom 6 looked great, look at the defense. +1, +2, +1. The defense is great here. We have no weaknesses on this team. And our goaltender is Jeremy Swayman. We know what he can do. This team right here has to be top 5. If we're not top 5 and aren't competing for a Stanley Cup, then something went very, very wrong. Well, that was a pretty quick rebuild for the Seattle Kraken. 5th in the entire league here with a 37, 23, and 2 record. The offense is looking great, but the defense is even better. That's what's helping us out right now. We do need to improve that defense a little bit. Marty Necas, he's leading the way offensively, 51 points here. Joe Pavelski, 49. Jared McCann's got 47. Robert Thomas, 47. And when it comes to the goaltending, I already know that's spectacular from Jeremy Swayman. 30 wins this season, 7 shouts, a 917 to 254. Yeah, this team's hoisting a Stanley Cup, no questions about it. However, the real question is, do we make some trades here? Now, the trades just can't be for this season, though. If we're picking up players, they're here for this season and next season, so we got to be smart about this. Actually, plans have changed here. Wenberg over to the Montreal Canadiens. We're picking up Sean Monahan for the last second push here, but I'm going to bank that I can sign him to a very reasonable deal. It's going to be tough to get done, but if we can do it, then this trade makes a lot of sense. And to be fair, Wenberg, he's not even playing for us right now. He's in the AHL, so if there is a world in which we can re-sign Sean Monahan, then that's definitely the move. Now, the Sean Monahan trade wasn't about this season. He's not even going to crack the lineup for us. However, we are going to lock him down for next season, 3.7 for the next 2, an absolute steal. Seattle, what am I looking at here? 6th in the entire league. I said we were going to be a top 5 team, and you guys are finishing 6th in the entire league, a 47-31-4 record. I can't even be happy about that. 6th in the entire league. You guys are a disappointment. Okay, we got to be very happy that our defense was as good as it was this season, because these numbers should not be getting you into the postseason, and these numbers should not be from a top 10 team. I don't know how we did it, but here we are in the postseason. Jeremy Swayman, you were absolutely phenomenal. Martin Jones, you were even better, but you know what? Jeremy Swayman, of course, is going to be the guy for us. We got to make a run in the postseason here. The offense needs to wake up, though. I don't care how good we are defensively. We have to score goals when it matters most, and it's got to start in the first round against the Vancouver Canucks. Now, I am happy to say that the offense has stepped up here. We scored 7 goals in one game. However, there is one issue. Our defense hasn't been nearly as good. We got to lock down defensively. We're only allowing 2 goals in game number 5. Can we do the same thing in game number 6 here? We're going to be allowing 4, and that means we got to head to game 7. So the second round is definitely going to be a lot more difficult. We got through the Vancouver Canucks in 7 games, but now we have the Edmonton Oilers. They got Connor McDavid. They got Leon Draisaitl. We know who's on this team. Now, so far, the Seattle Kraken have been known for their defense. But you know what? The Edmonton Oilers, they have a really good offense, and right now their offense is just way better than our defense. We're heading into game 5 here, and we're going to be heading home after game 5. We're losing that one 4-3. So Edmonton's going to go on to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, but they're going to fall in a 7-game series to the Tampa Bay Lightning. We have one more game to win a Stanley Cup with the Seattle Kraken, but our team's going to be looking the best in NHL 24. Marty Necas is on this team. Robert Thomas is on the team. Vince Dunn, Rasmus Anderson. We got Jeremy Swayman. Virtually no weaknesses on this team whatsoever. Thomas Harley's going to jump into the lineup. We had him in the AHL. We have Wyatt Johnson that's going to be playing on the team. Owen Tippett playing on the team. 0 weaknesses across the board. We're hoisting a Stanley Cup. I have no issues with what this team looks like whatsoever. We might not even make any trades next season, but I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult too. We're not going to have a lot of cap space to work with. Kempe, 12 points in the postseason. Joe Pavelski, 11, but he was -6. Cut to the chase. The defense just didn't perform. Also, where is Robert Thomas? Where is our king, Robert Thomas? Did this man just completely disappear? 5 points. This man had 5 points in the postseason. Never thought I'd see the day that he doesn't perform. Meanwhile, Jeremy Swayman, yeah, this ain't it. Plain and simple, these numbers are abysmal. So we moved on to NHL 24 here, and the team's looking fantastic. Robert Thomas, Kempe, Owen Tippett, a +4 boost. Joe Pavelski, Marty Necas, and Jared McCann, they're getting a +5 boost. The bottom 6 is looking fantastic. However, we do need to make some small additions. When it comes to the defense, we're not making any additions here. This is absolutely phenomenal. No weaknesses whatsoever. And when it comes to the goaltending situation, we have a 90 overall Jeremy Swayman, 84 overall Joey Daccord, but I do want to make some changes here. I mean, not to the goaltending, that's fantastic. To the bottom 6, I want to get some players that have some better line fits. Now, there is one thing I'm very upset about when it comes to making a trade here. In order to clear up cap space to make a couple trades, one man has to be traded away in particular. And who is that going to be? Where is he? His trade value should be a lot higher than this. Where is he? No, seriously, where is he? Andre Burakovsky, 84 overall, getting paid $5.5 million. We can't have you on the team here. We're going to have to trade you away. It's a sad day indeed, but you know what? It's just what has to happen. Okay, so we're making a massive deal here, and this could backfire on us big time. Burakovsky, Mikey Anderson, a 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounder over to the Vegas Golden Knights for Tomas Hertl. Now, the main reason this is risky is we could potentially match up against Vegas in the playoffs, and they're going to have Andre Burakovsky. We know he scores big goals, but they also get Mikey Anderson to help the defense. They're going to be a really strong team, but so are we. We're going to bring Tomas Hertl onto the team if we can find a way to get this trade done. So what if I do a 2nd and 3rd round pick instead of what I was just offering? They're saying no, but we're going to get this one done. Here's a 4th round pick as well, and just like that, Tomas Hertl, welcome to the team. Now we are going to make one more trade here. It's going to be a 1st, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounder over to the Anaheim Ducks. The final move of this video is bringing Mason McTavish onto the team. So for our final chance at a Stanley Cup, we have this super team right here. The lowest overall is an 84 Matias Maccelli, but we need a playmaker on this 3rd line, so that's why he's going to be playing here. Our 4th line is full of 85 overalls. The defense is spectacular. The goaltending's even better. This team should win 65 games. No doubt about it. We're going to be successful. Now this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We do know how good the Seattle Kraken were. 46, 30, and 6 record. 11th in the entire league. Our lowest overall was an 84. 11th in the entire league. This is an absolute joke. Like seriously, 11th in the entire league. Joe Pavelski, I don't care about your numbers. Jared McCann, don't care about your numbers. Robert Thomas, you had 57 points. That's got to be an absolute joke, right? The goaltending from Jeremy Swayman, I mean, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't superstar ability. What really just happened with this team? I had such high expectations. Vegas in the 1st round. Burakovsky's going to have a career playoff run against us. He's picking up about 15 goals in the 1st round. I'm calling it right now. Now we're going to watch this final postseason run game by game here, and we're going to watch the Vegas Golden Knights sweep us. Okay, we won game 1, so they're not going to sweep us. We dropped game 2, won game 3. We split the series with them, so game 5 is going to be a massive game. Who's going to be taking it? Vegas is taking it. Why am I not surprised? We got to bounce back in game number 6, game 7, and we got to make it to the 2nd round. So here we go, game 7. Why do I think Andre Burakovsky is going to pick up a handful of goals here? Okay, we scored 4 in the 1st period, but they scored 3, so I'm not really too happy with the team right now. Matias Maccelli, he's picking up a big goal. What's happening here in the 3rd period? We're going to win this one. Kempe, you saved the day. 18 seconds left in the game, and he's going to pot the winner. This shouldn't have happened. So maybe we shouldn't have gotten past the Vegas Golden Knights, but I'm going to take it. A win is a win is a win is a win. Now we have the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. We all know what they can do to us, but we got to be able to respond. So when push comes to shove against the Edmonton Oilers, we can actually hold it down with them. Game 5 is going to be a massive one. We're going to steal that one 4-1. Can we steal game 6 as well? It doesn't look like it. Another game 7. So we got game 7 against the Edmonton Oilers, Seattle versus Edmonton. This is going to be a great series. No goals are scored in the 1st period, none in the 2nd. So the 3rd period is going to decide this game. Who's going to be showing up when it matters most? Connor McDavid, Evander Kane. Why am I not surprised? So when push came to shove, the Edmonton Oilers were just too much for us, but they were too much for everyone not named Robert Thomas, because he's leading the way here. 15 points, 6 goals, 9 assists. He held up his end of the bargain. The rest of the players on this team just didn't step up when it mattered most, and that's a shame. Like, we really should have won there. Jeremy Swayman, I am expecting more from you. We know what our defensive core looked like. A 905 and a 297. Bro, what are you doing out there? You should be way better than this.